What is going on YouTube? It's the brain of the mainframe here, Nile Scala with the POPXP, and we're back for the Week in Pop. And joining me is the team that brings you the scoop of the week. We've got Jennifer Van Damsel back in the house, the indie creator himself, the master of pages, Mr. Caleb Thusat, and the magician of movies, film, and television, and just a true Swiss army of a creator, Mr. Adam Lawson. Hey, gang, how are we doing?
Humbling. You know, I'm very, very happy. This is it's been an exciting week. I'm in a real mix of things, working at Netflix and EA, and on my own publishing company. We have a new game launch coming in October, so it's like all this coming together, and there's a baby coming in July. So it's like, what can I get done before the baby? Because I'm going to disappear.
Oh yes, what they say. I remember everyone told me before my book, your life's going to change. I'm like, no, I'm still going to be able to do what I can do. Well, you can. You just can't sleep. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. You will never sleep again to continue doing the things you do, plus raising your family. But it's worth it. It's worth it.
Oh, I have
a lot of caffeine,
no doubts.
whatever you got. Well, Miss Van Damsel, how was your week? 2 weeks, really. It's been 2 weeks since we've all been together.
I know. It's been good. It's been like really, really busy. But I talked about this. I'm going to open a package instead of talk about myself for a minute.
Ooh, so what do we have?
Okay, so I don't know what it is. I just opened the box, but I haven't looked at it.
Here we
so
go.
this
I'm
is
going to make
something
you
that
big.
I have ordered for myself. Don't make me big. Oh, I hate being big. I ordered this for myself at some point. I kind of just like have a lot of packages and then never open them, so then I don't remember what I ordered.
That's why you're friends with TUCCI'S.
Yeah. Let's see what it is. Okay.
Oh, what is it?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I collect Disney ornaments that they only release during like Christmas time. And I saw this at Hallmark and I didn't get it, and I had serious regrets that I didn't buy it. So then I bought it for myself on eBay. It's a little K9 Crunchies from 101 Dalmatians.
That is awesome.
Yes. And it's supposed to light up, I think, but K9 Crunchies can't be beat. They make each meal a special treat. That's the only part I know. But I know that part. So yay, how exciting.
Awesome.
Yay.
Wow.
I put myself
Does it work? Is it going to work?
Oh, you guys stick a light up in it. Yeah.
It's a Christmas light. You put the Christmas light in
got
it.
you. Oh, that's cool.
It's very cool.
Thanks, guys.
Nice.
Thanks. All right, we don't have to make
I can't wait to do our special Christmas ornament episode.
Oh my god, it'll be
You're
like
gonna-
2 hours. And I like almost cry.
It'll be like the antique roach. It's like, this is a 1988 Little Mermaid. Well, it's not a
That would
Little
be
Mermaid.
awesome. It's hard to find the vintage ones.
That is true. They get crazy in price.
Yes, for sure.
How about you, Adam? You collector of the Disney Hallmark ornaments?
Actually, my wife and I are collectors. Not necessarily the Hallmark version, but we were annual pass holders in 2019, back when that was a thing. And so we went, at least twice a month to Disney. And my wife, Catherine, she is a big, Eric in the house.
So
She's a big collector of it. So we had really quite the collection of the Disney ornaments that you get there. And so...
Pictures. I need pictures. Send me pictures. I want to see everything.
We'll break out. We will break out our Hallmark collection.
Ornaments.
Yeah, I mean, I can see, and when I saw it,
ornaments.
Yeah,
I've got a
you're
lot.
deep.
I have
You're
a
deep
problem.
into it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
That's a good problem, though. It's a good
I
problem.
spend so much money. It's not good.
You
It's very
keep all the
bad.
boxes? Like, are they displayed here, but the boxes are like in a tote somewhere?
No, I'm not. No.
And I don't keep them either.
I like to display everything, so.
I rebox them. I rebox them after every season.
Really?
Yeah, I rebox them after every season. I put them in the ornament box.
I leave these out all year round. They don't look like Christmas ornaments. They just look like little figures of like scenes from the movies and stuff. So.
Oh. Well, very cool. I'm glad you got a piece you were looking for to add to the collection. And
Nice.
Mr. Thusat, what the heck have you been up to, man? I know you're prepping. You got your first convention in like 8 months.
Yeah, tell us about this.
Yeah, man, it's weird. I haven't had a convention probably in a year and a half, and Three Rivers Comic Con in Pittsburgh, they're doing a show that's like they're doing it all outside in a big tent in kind of flea market style. So it'll be interesting. I don't know really what to expect, but I know people are itching for something to do now that it's starting to get nice out. So yeah, it's been weird because I honestly feel like I don't know how to do it. Since I haven't been at a convention for so long, I'm like, do I still remember how to do this? I've like set up my table earlier and tried to remember exactly how I wanted things to be set up, and especially now I have more books and stuff too. It's like it's been a big gap, so hopefully it goes well. But
No, it definitely will.
Well, I think, it's getting exciting. I mean, here, at least here in California, the masks come off, and if you're vaccinated, you don't have to wear them indoors anymore. And so, I mean, things are moving. I know that we have a booth at Gen Con this year for my game of Thunder, so it's like, the things are happening.
Yeah, it looks like most of the shows that I had scheduled that are coming back now this year from this time forward. But yeah, Ohio is like, we're gonna be mask free early June. I don't know what's going on in Pittsburgh. From what I can tell, we're still required to wear something like during setup and stuff, but I don't know exactly how it's going to work. So we'll see. It's all outside, so maybe we'll have a little more leniency.
Nice. I think Marvin in the chat is going to that convention as well, because we had some of the guys from Second Sight publishing on last night. I did a panel with them, and they were talking about heading to that convention. So I think like Harrenberg is usually in our chat. Marvin, I think they're heading down there, which is pretty cool. But yeah, good luck with that, dude. You're gonna have a good time.
Thanks. Yeah,
you'll jump right back into the swing of it.
Yeah, it'll come back to me. I'm excited. It's only $5 to get in, so I feel like it's gonna get crazy. So
yeah, people need things to do. They're getting stir crazy. And I'll tell you, man, there's one thing that we've learned from this pandemic, and I think that's our capability in ourselves to really binge watch things, right? There's so many different things out there on Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, HBO Max. I mean, every network's like, you know what? Everyone just buy our exclusive app, and we're going to put now exclusive shows on there. And we binge it all. We hit those points. We need something to watch. Well, last week, Jupiter's Legacy, premiered on Netflix, and I did happen to watch the whole series.
You did the whole thing.
I did the whole thing. I did it. I was into the comic books when they came out. I thought it was a pretty cool concept, and I muscled through it. Again, that whole sleep thing, Adam, you're not going to need it. We'll see.
We're gonna get over that.
It's a new way.
Jupiter's Legacy was a good comic. I mean, obviously Mark Millar is kind of the man.
Yeah.
And as far as getting his comics made into what I would say excellent adaptations, he's pretty good at that.
Yeah.
Few could rival him, at least still living.
Yeah, and he's got an exclusive deal. I think he's got a few titles of his that are with Netflix.
Yeah. Netflix did an overall deal with him. Yep.
Exactly.
They have his whole library. Yep.
Yeah, so we watched it. We checked it out. Were you guys able to get? I'm sure you might not have gotten through the whole series, but how far were you guys able to get through the series? We'll start with you, Jen.
I watched the whole show and read the whole first volume.
So. There you go.
That's why I was busy this week.
That's why you were busy. Hey, it's a great thing to do. You don't have to do anything else. Just watch TV and read comics. That's it. Yeah. Oh, and make sure to have Chick-fil-A ranch on hand.
I did. I bought a whole bottle. I used it that very night, even though I had chicken nuggets for lunch. I was like, well, I got to have the ranch. So I had it for dinner.
Adam, you got through one episode?
Yeah, it's a single. I mean, I didn't do the full, binge, of a whole season. Cause I'm kind of, so the way it kind of usually works at my house is that at night, when we go to bed, I'm usually catching up on some last minutes of work. My wife's watching TV. I come join her, and then I usually read a comic book, right? Because I like to be reading something every day. So that's my most common go-to at night.
Nice.
And then when a special series like Jupiter Legacy or Invincible comes out, I really loved Invincible. I'll get through it, but because I try to keep. Because the thing about it is I feel like I'm in this comic book space, but it's like, how many times do you run into folks and they're like, oh, that's so cool, but I never read it. You know what I mean? I didn't read it. You know what I mean? And so it's like, I want to be the opposite of that. I'm like, oh, I read that. Yeah, I read that.
Nice. Did you ever read the Jupiter's Legacy books?
Sorry, say again. Oh yeah. So no. I read maybe when they were back in the day when it was single issues, probably 7 or 8 of them. Because I kind of was catching anything that Mark Millar was doing. I liked it. It was massive in scope and the cool. It's like this. Once again, it's him. It's like deconstructive, like in your face. Superhero stuff. But it's So that was my journey in that.
Nice.
Excellent. Caleb, man, how far did you get in the legacy?
Hey man, I read the first volume, and I think I watched like 6 or 7 episodes. That's actually a lot for me to get through because I have a routine where I end up forcing my wife to watch whatever I need to watch. So I'm like, we're gonna watch 2 episodes of Jupiter Legacy tonight. But she's actually into it. She's like way into it. So it's awesome.
It was definitely mixed reviews out there. I was reading a lot of things like, there was a really like a 50-50 bag out there. I got through the whole thing. I know Jen got through the whole thing. I don't want to spoil too much for you, Adam.
No, please spoil away. I'm okay with that. I'm the last guy. I'm the guy who showed up to the party without any food. Right? Like I brought no food, nothing to drink, and I'm like, hey,
Herrenberg actually agrees. Jupiter's Legacy was great. They vastly extended the sequence on the island, which was interesting, but we have 3 burning questions about it. Herrenberg, post those questions. But Jen, all right. So we've gone through the books. We watched the whole series, and I have to say, I look up to your opinion on things. So I need to know, did you like it? Did you like it?
I watched the show first because I didn't want to read the comic and then compare it to the comic the entire time. So I watched the show, and I thought it was like very mediocre. Like I wasn't excited for it to keep going. I didn't really care about any of the characters, but the action was like pretty cheesy, but it was okay. Like I didn't hate my life or anything. After reading the comic, the whole like father being like dead and all that was not in the comic book at all, and I really hated that about the show. So that was like, I feel like they really added a lot to the show to like expand it. So like the first volume is going to have to be like 5 seasons with the pace that they're going at, and they completely like changed the motivation of like the children. And then so like 9 years passes within the first volume. So they literally made up like so much stuff for the TV show that was really like unnecessary compared to the book. I probably have like a lot more complaints about it, but I feel like I've been talking a long time.
I have to say, I liked the comic, right? I honestly enjoyed the Netflix adaptation better. I kind of like the way it played out. It did jump a lot, right? It jumps a lot, from present to past to in between and all this other stuff, and different scenes with different characters. I get that, but for some reason, maybe it was my ADHD, I could follow it. I was like, okay, yeah, this is good. And like I was really into it. And it was really like my go-to binge, that Sunday and into I think I finished like Tuesday night. But I do have to say I do like the breakdown because I went back, right? I read those comics just like you, Adam. I was pulling the floppies off the shelf. I was at my buddy's shop, like, what is this? He's like, oh, I have no clue. But I just ordered it because I like the covers. So I grabbed a couple copies and I read the first 2 volumes of it. I didn't read the Jupiter's Legacy Circle though. But I have that, so I will catch up with that. But anyways, the books were fine. When I reread the comics, I was just like, yeah. Like I struggled to reread them.
Yeah.
Because after watching it on Netflix, I just liked it better.
I was the exact opposite. I read through the comic book so fast, but it was because I was so disappointed in the show that it wasn't like as bad. But I still thought it was like an okay comic book too. I didn't really think it was that great.
Yeah. So we got Herrenberg here's got actually a pretty cool question because I actually thought this, right? So he says, how can Utopian stay so obsessed with sticking to the code when nobody else agrees with him on it? If he is the leader, he shouldn't be acting so stubborn and ornery. And I was kind of wondering that too, like, why is he so up on the code? Like, I get it. And then, of course, in my head, I'm playing it with, like, the politics in the past few years or the past decade of things going on. And you can kind of tie it into that. But I do think that that was a little played out in the show. I don't know your thoughts on that, Caleb or Jen.
Well, I kind of liked in the show that they expressed more. They gave more reasons why he was sticking with the code. Like, oh, if we would have joined World War II, then what about all the other wars? And then if like people expect us to take control of like countries and dictators, and so like they actually give more explanation. They don't really talk that much about it in the comic book. They just said they don't say anything about like no killing. I think too. It's not very specific what he's so obsessed with in the comic book. So you don't really get that sense from it, which I think they did better with that in the show. I just think that was his character. That was
I just saw there was a lot of tension with it in the series.
There was a lot. I mean, that's who he is, and that's it. The things that happen to him kind of sway him into that belief system, right? And that's like he's sticking to his guns. It's a whole play on the superhero tropes, though, right? Like this is
deconstructed,
This is like Superman, right? But we're seeing like here's all these questions that aren't necessarily normally asked in a Superman story of his character. So we get to actually see someone play it out. Like, look, this is the reason why I'm sticking to this code. It's not just because I'm a symbol. It's because I have this past that basically has taught me to be this way. And, I think it's definitely played out better in the series, for sure. There's a lot of things, having read the comic book first and then going into the series, there's a lot that's kind of brushed past in the comic. And I feel like the series gave them all like a little more chance to like dig into the characters and kind of develop them a little more and give them reasons for having the mentalities that they do and the characters that they do. So I agree that like the action is cheesy at points, but really the thing that's different about this story, it's not about the superhero action. It's about what makes the superheroes and why they have these mentalities that they have. And we get to see all this stuff fall apart because that's where it's going. I mean, we see that towards the end of this, that all of this, basically, capitalism is dead. It's the step towards utopian is falling, right? So it's going to be interesting to see what they do with it, especially since they have so much more time to play with it than what he did with the comics.
Yeah, I mean the comics were good. Definitely if you guys haven't read it, I recommend you read the comics. If you haven't watched the series, I mean the comics are good. They are. I personally just preferred the Netflix series. I just got more into it that way. But they did a good job of kind of recreating, the feel of the book. I thought visually they did a good job of that. Adam, what was your thoughts?
I like that stuff.
I think the visual aesthetic and like the filmmaking aspect of it, and like obviously the Netflix production value scope of it, where they're trying to compete with MCU level stories. I mean, it was certainly there. I mean, it's a beautiful, amazing cast. Is it? I think when I sat back, after that issue one, I was like, or not issue one, episode one, and I was like, I was kind of a little bummed that was the Mark Millar story they chose to tell, right? Like when you look at the breadth of it, like you dove into the superhero side of it, which is so owned by Marvel and DC. It was just that, I think that was my like number one disappointment. Is like, why didn't we do Reborn instead? Which is like this cool epic fantasy tale with these people in the modern world back in time, and something to. I think maybe I felt like, man, this is it. And it's like, and once again, it's a deconstructive thing. And it's, in this story, they get their powers from aliens. But I don't know. I think that's what I felt like. And I don't necessarily know that, like, at least from the pilot experience, I felt a little bit like you, Jen. I wasn't like, just give me more. I was like, wow, this is beautifully done. The director and team, they need definitely a pat on their back. They had a specific style, but
I don't think the pilot did it for me like that either. I think it wasn't until like episode 3 that I was like really getting pulled into like the jumping back to the 20s. Like that's the stuff that I really love because the production value and there's not enough of that in the comic. Like they don't really tell you all that story of
But
them
it was not
leading up to the
they
island.
made that up. Like the whole dad thing, they just made that up. So there wasn't like comic book for them to like elaborate on. They just like put in their own.
It's
Well,
giving
he was a guy
character
from the
more of a
20s who,
purpose.
yeah.
Well, you have to. I think that's part of like the whole adapt. You know, when they're adapting something for film or television, it's like sometimes, you know, they have to build up so much, and that's one thing I think it was like they had to build up so much, but it was like they added parts of the story that I think I felt I was missing in the books themselves.
Let me put it this way: like when you're reading the comic, there's a lot of stuff, and this is one of my problems with the comic book. He tells you a lot of stuff, but he doesn't show you a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And in the series, he's actually a lot of those words that they're passing back and forth. They kind of spread them out over the story in the 20s. That you get a little more of the characters. Like it's just kind of that he brushes over like my fiance didn't go with me, and all that stuff's kind of glossed over. And I feel like I care a lot more about the characters in the series than I ever did in the comic, because it felt a lot more rushed as far as all of the character building was in the story.
So overall,
but it was just the whole dead father and then him like going crazy, like he was just so psycho. Within the book, that was not the reason he didn't go like super psycho.
Yeah. Well, let's see. So for the overall, then, and we'll start with you, Jen. I mean, with overall comparison, you know, the comic book to the series. I mean, where do you think it fell? Do you think they did a good job, or do you think, you know, each is just its own and, you know, its own right? You know.
Yeah, basically each is his own. I didn't think either was like super great. I definitely have complaints about like they would have been a good mesh, but because they're like so separate, it doesn't. I don't think you can really like compare them because they're just totally different.
Yeah.
I personally, that's how I view comic book movies in general. Is that usually it should be seen as its own thing, because they're never going to be able to do the same things in the comics that they are in the movies, just because it's a different medium. Having worked in film and then coming into comics, it's just with working with panels versus moving images, there's just certain things that you're going to do better in a movie that you're never going to be able to do in a comic book. And I'm sure, Adam, you would agree with that. Like
Totally. There's just because the value of dialogue in film and television versus dialogue in a comic book, there's you can do so much more with it in television, and you can have so much more nuance in that department. And in comic books, you're quite limited on where you can go there. And I agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, would you guys recommend people out there watch it and read it?
I think it's a great study on seeing the two things. I personally like the idea that he created there. It's superheroes. It's overplayed a bit, but I personally like this story better than I like a lot of Marvel and DC stuff. So I would recommend it. I like Watchmen for the same reason. So
awesome.
I don't know that I would put this in the Watchmen department. You know what I mean? As far as like Jupiter's Legacy comic book, Watchmen comic book, I don't know if they're quite the same level of book. Like Watchmen is like the perfect realization of the deconstructed superhero. Yeah. You know, this is maybe a B, like a B plus, like a base hit. You know,
did it pop, Adam? Did episode 1 pop for you?
It was a mild popping, right? I mean, like the bag of popcorn that you pull out of the microwave. You know how when you get it and you pull it out and you open it up and the steam comes out and then you look at it and you realize, oh shoot, there's still all these hard corns still at the bottom. I only got about half my value out of that. Yeah. It's that kind of pop. It still tastes pretty good, but you didn't get the full bag.
Yeah.
I just think the plots are completely different plots, so you can't really compare which one is better because they're just totally different. The whole point of the story isn't even like the same.
Yeah, that's true. Well, everyone, watch it. Give us your thoughts. Watch it and put your thoughts in the comments below, and let us know what you guys are thinking about Jupiter's Legacy. Did you like the books better? Did you like the Netflix series better? Do you like them both the same? Did you hate them? Are you in Jen's corner? This is garbage.
I said they were
Absolute
okay.
garbage.
I didn't say they were garbage.
Yeah.
I said I didn't
We
hate
get
my life. So
We totally get it.
Yeah.
But let's talk about something that's not garbage. And for all you 90s kids out there that grew up reading your comics, did anyone catch this trailer this week for Venom 2?
Oh, yeah.
What is going on here? Carnage! Insane! Sorry, I just wanted to flash that back and forth for everybody.
You should do it one more time. I don't know if
we just got to do that. We just got to do that.
One more time. I don't think we got that effect.
Carnage! I think this is going to be good. You know, I thought the first Venom movie was all right. I tolerated it.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was anything special.
Yeah.
But I think they're going to redeem themselves here. But I'm still kind of like that opening scene in the trailer, right? Where he's making breakfast and stuff and singing. I'm still kind of like absorbing that. You know, it has that like Deadpool-esque humor. You know, I feel like they always grab that kind of crazy, witty humor, like just out of the world, little Guardians of the Galaxy humor stuff in there. But I thought I liked it, but I don't know how I feel about that. Jen, how do you feel about the Venom 2 trailer? Did you like it?
I saw Venom 1, and I didn't really care about it at all. I'm not super familiar with like the comics, so I was told that his personality is like pretty similar in the comics, but I don't enjoy that like sense of humor at all. I hate Guardians of the Galaxy, so the first like 30 seconds was really like I was just shaking my head. I really hate that, so I didn't like that at all. But the visuals look great. Like Carnage looked awesome, so super excited. I'll watch it just because it seems like it looks really cool.
Yeah. What are you thinking, Caleb?
My favorite part.
You down with the Carnage? You getting maximum right now?
My favorite part of the first one is just Tom Hardy, really. So it's like if he plays the part the same way, then I'm sure I'll enjoy it. But I don't know. Like I can take or leave Venom on his own. Like with the Carnage stuff, it might be cool, but I'd really like to see Venom and Spider-Man in a solid movie at some point.
I feel like they have to do that at some point. It's just got to happen.
The rights game, though, that's
I know it's
a little complicated. That's not happening.
Disney will buy it. Disney will buy it. It's fine. You know, it's like Disney's like that really cool stepdad you have that just wants you to like love him. So he's like, "Oh, you like that? I'll buy that too. Let's put it all together. You want the whole collection? I'll just buy you everything. You know, just you know,
please.
That's Disney. But you know, what do you think, Adam? You down for this film?
Well, see, I think what I felt so much about the first film is I felt like Tom Hardy was so miscast. And why I say that is because Tom Hardy is a badass, good-looking, cool guy.
Extremely.
And it's pretty hard to think anything different about Tom Hardy, right? And so the idea that he's like this journalist who like is kind of fumbling and struggling in conversations is just like, you're so badass. This job, this role makes no sense for you. You're Mad Max. Like, you're just so badass that I just couldn't buy him as a reporter that needed help from this alien to solve problems. It just seemed so. He just didn't seem right for it. And I love Tom Hardy. You know, I love him in films, and I think he has such. I remember when I first saw him in Inception, I was like, "Who the hell's this guy? He's gonna be. I mean, he's just epic, right?"
He's the best part about Peaky Blinders.
There's no question. I mean, this guy is the real thing. Him and Killian, it's just like this is the real thing. And when you think about just how much from the Warrior, all these things he's done, just like this rugged nature about him, and it's like, what? Like this reporter who's fumbling, like you could just beat Venom's ass, you know? So I think that was my disappointment from the first one. I just didn't buy it, you know? And then for this second film, I mean, I think the one redemption about it is obviously Harrelson is an incredible piece of talent. I don't think that he ever touches something that you don't go, God, I'm glad I showed up to see what he did with it. I don't think that, you know what I mean? Yeah. Harrelson's so good. And so I will watch this, and I will, because I want to see what they do with Carnage and how that really comes together. Jen, I think I'm like you. But I think that, like, you know, I think what happened with Venom is they traded in real depth for jokes. and which is fine. You know, it just keeps it like a popcorn piece. But I think that's where I stand with it. You know.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. We've got a guest tonight, right? And he's no stranger. He's no stranger to the comic scene. Some may say he's got his hands in a bit of a preview of everything. I mean, I think we need to welcome Mr. Troy Jeffrey Allen to the show.
Oh, nice.
Hey, what's going on?
Boom! There he is.
I didn't expect theme music. Like I'm all for this is like WrestleMania now.
This is the POPXP, man. This is the POPXP network. We don't mess around. Troy, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm good. I'm hoping I get some XP by being on this show. I'm with it.
There you go. But,
he's working on his WWE. He's working on his WWE performance right now. You got the theme song now. What's your wrestling character name? I mean, is there a mask potential? You know.
Oh god, like actually, I tried to be a pro wrestler for like all of like 5 seconds when I was in my early 20s.
No way, Troy.
Yep.
Did you get in a ring? Did you leap off the top rope? I mean, how did it go for you?
I got through the training portion of it, and I went to school for film. I went to school for film, and about I want to say it was like 6 months in. I was like, this is crazy. What am I doing? And so I just kind of stopped. I was like, this is insane.
It took you 6 months to think that.
I mean, I was 20, so I wasn't too quick on the uptake. You know.
I think most kids out there, at least at one point in their life, right? Even when they're little and you're watching, for me it was Sting. I was like, yeah, I'm Sting, I went from that colored little the colored face mask to the whole, like the crow look, and I love that. I love that. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I want to be a wrestler. Of course you like make your own rings, you do that. We actually had a wrestling show on like public access here, and then people were like, that's not safe. But then I was like, wait. I was like, oh wait, you have to cut yourself to actually, because like they cut themselves to make themselves bleed, and I was like, I'm not down with that. No, I don't want to do that. I'm done. I'll play WCW versus NWO on N64.
There you go. Somewhere lost in the early 2000s is a video for the best of backyard wrestling with me on it getting my ass kicked.
No.
Yeah, just
no.
Yeah,
because I remember those videos late night. You could order them, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It was like it was. The funny thing about that, it was the guy who did Girls Gone Wild, and then he decided
totally right.
So, anyway,
these totally unsanctioned fights that were killing people.
Like when you're up late watching Howard Stern on like E, you would get those infomercials for Girls Gone Wild and backyard wrestling. Yeah. They even did like the homeless fights or whatever those were. I forget what those were called.
Fights. Oh man.
Bum fights, right?
Wild.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah. Is that what it's called?
Wow. I think it was called bum fights.
I think it
was.
Yeah.
That's scraping.
Come over. I think it's worse that I know all of that.
Yeah. Well, Troy, that really, I like you from a distance, Joe, seeing your work, but now that I know this wrestling story, it's forever love here. I mean, this is forever love.
There you go. I appreciate it. It's
amazing.
Much respect.
So Troy, man, tell us about yourself. It's the first time you've been on our show. I know you've had Tucci, my partner in crime, on your show a couple times. But tell us a bit about what you do for previews, and then even let's get into a little bit of your comics.
Yeah. So I joke that I'm the marketing megaphone for previews, right? But my official title is content marketing manager at Diamond Comics Distributors, who of course owns previews. And so my responsibility is to interact with consumers, make sure that they're aware of product. You've seen the previews catalogs, like 400 pages of items, every single month. Like it's an insane amount of stuff that we get to focus on every month. But it's cool because every 30 days I get to go oh cool, what can I pinpoint now? What can I let people know about? So it's everything from toys to comics, of course, to apparel, to tabletop gaming. And that's literally my job, is to find avenues for us to promote what's in the catalog. And sometimes that means that includes video, that includes social media, that includes me writing articles and doing interviews with people, and also just coming up with new strategies to market. So
Nice.
Wow, that's incredible. Now you have your own series, right? Your own YouTube series and everything, and you do Facebook Lives.
Yeah. Well, through Previews World, we do this thing every Wednesday called Previews World Weekly, right? It's me and my co-host Ashton, with occasional cameos by production manager Johnny Rose. We have guests on, sporadically here and there, and we just talk about the world of comics and things that circulate comics in the past week. And so, the way they're like this past week's show was a bit controversial. And that happens every couple of weeks. Like we attach ourselves to a topic that's bound to get people a little upset. But we tackled the whole J. Scott Campbell Fix It thing that happened last week. And we opened it up to the audience. We were like, hey, what do you guys think about this? And for the first time on the show, I think Ashton and I were at odds on the topic, which I think was actually pretty interesting. Like, I think she had some great points, and I can't discredit those points at all. I think they're all valid, and I had my points, and of course, I think my points are valid. So
her points are good. You're just thinking yours are better. That's all.
There you go. No, not even better. Like, it's just one of those things where, like, I want to have the dialogue, and I think so often, I think especially in comics, man, like people either want to yell at each other or they don't want to talk about these things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we try to kind of find a middle ground where we're like, we're all smart, we're all nerds, we're all well read. You know what I mean? We know these mythos back and forth. We know this the lore of these characters back and forth. We can have an intelligent conversation and not yell at each other about it. So we try to do that on the show. We try to highlight the smart comments, and then we do our picks every single week, and we talk about things that are happening in the news world. And then of course we talk about stuff we're watching. So we've been talking about Invincible and Bad Batch lately.
Oh, nice. Oh, I loved it.
Invincible is great.
That was great.
Invincible
Looking forward to
rad.
Let me ask you a question, Troy, right? Because I know you're trying to get, some controversial topics and stuff. And, as a producer of your show as well, I produce, the shows for this channel. Sometimes it's like you want to do the controversial stuff, right? But then you kind of have to second guess it because of how the industry is now, right? Yeah. It's like either people are screaming and yelling their heads off about something to make a change, or they're not acknowledging it. And there's I guess the big issue is that there is no conversation. So you have to go about it, and you almost have. Do you find it difficult to be like, or do you find yourself questioning, like, should we talk about this? Should we not? Or just like, you know what? Screw it. It is what it is. We're going to do it.
My attitude typically is screw it. We're going to do it.
Yeah.
And look, sometimes I get that call where, the higher ups are like, why are you talking? Like, what are you going to say about this? Like, we set up the topic like early on, like we kind of field questions with people online via Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, et cetera, over the weekend. And then we shoot the show on Wednesday. And I've gotten those conversations where it's like, I've never been told not to talk about something, but there's always that moment of, I'll give you a perfect example. There was a whole conversation about banning the Punisher. Like, Marvel should get rid of the Punisher. Like, they should, take him off the stands and all this other stuff. And, I had this moment where I was like, I got a call because, of course, it was right after the Capitol riots, right? And, the concern, which was a valid concern, is like, well, how are you going to talk about this? How are you going to broach this topic? And, I'll be very honest with you guys. My attitude is real simple. I'm here to defend comics. Like, that's my whole thing. Like, I want to defend comics. Right. I want to defend the fandom. I want to defend the creators. And, that's basically what I said. Like, and that's not me just being a company guy. That's just me in general. Like, I grew up on comics. I worked in comic book shops. I've made comics. I've worked at conventions. I've done all that stuff, So to me, this is a lifestyle, Yeah. And, so that's essentially how these things kind of shake out. Like, we try not to be reckless, but we do try to have a nice conversation.
Yeah. So what was your stance on J. Scott Campbell?
My stance, I'm very consistent. I joked about this on the show. The week prior, Mike Mignola had drawn a He-Man cover for Dark Horse. And I saw people ripping it to shreds, saying like, this is a horrible interpretation of He-Man, and all this other stuff. People just going off. And, I know. And my attitude was like, have you not seen a Mike Mignola drawing before? Yeah, right. Like this is just his style. Like, different artists have different styles. And it's kind of the same thing with J. Scott Campbell. Like, my attitude is like, let artists be artists. Like, there's if you look at the catalog, there's a wide range of material that people can look at every single week, and it runs the gamut. Like, it runs the gamut from the neckbeards, to like, any type of fan, like, the comics for everyone, like, so that's kind of my attitude. Is like, I am always interested in artistic expression, and I want to see what people have to say through their art, and we got to treat comics like an art form. Like, I think sometimes when we get into the weeds about this, we're treating comics like it's McDonald's and not like an art form. Like, it's like, I want it this way, and it's like, yeah, but there's another aspect of this, where like someone's making something, and we kind of need to respect that too.
Yeah, I would go.
I think you make a great point there.
Go ahead.
Sorry, sorry there. I think you make a great point. Is that there's John Hervé. I love John.
John's great.
Is that there is I write television for a living, and I'm a TV show runner, and I love that. That's my work, and then my passion is comics, right? And I feel like what's pretty special about comic books is it's an opportunity to be a little bit less restrained, right? You don't have $100 million budget. You don't have the complications that come into bigger studio events. Maybe if you're writing Batman, but and that's part of the charm, though, is that you get to see a little bit more reckless stuff. You get to see Sean Gordon Murphy shake up Batman. You get to see these art styles and interpretations of it, because in many ways you're just seeing characters that we've been seeing since before we were born, right? Long before us even saying, oh, this is my character. It's like, well, actually Batman was drawn by somebody before you were even alive. And so in some ways it's nice to be able to say this is an interpretive world and the fun of it is that J. Scott Campbell does it different than Mike Mignola, and Mike Mignola does it different than Sean Gordon Murphy, and Sean Gordon Murphy does it different than Daniel Warren Johnson. And that's a good thing, right?
That's a good thing.
And like you said, there is such a plethora that instead of like, I need to crush this guy who did the thing I didn't want, or girl I didn't want, you can say, instead, here's this other thing that's cool, right? Like, let's promote the things that resonate with you instead of maybe spending your energy trying to crush somebody who didn't maybe meet an expectation.
No, I think that's fair. I think that's totally fair.
Anyway, that's kind of where I felt about it. Yeah.
That's awesome. But there's one thing I need to bring up, because we have limited time. We have limited time with Troy, But now, like, after I'm learning a little bit about him, I need to talk to him about some things here. And there's something going on. There's been something that's been pushed out of the woods.
No, just kidding.
No. And I mean, we've got to talk about, or maybe we can get a little preview with this Previews World pool box.
All right, pointing the wrong way. There you go. Yep.
So there's a sign up here I saw on the website.
Yeah. Like Previews pull box, right? Like we're now doing the rollout. We're looking at the rollout and how we're going to handle this. We're formulating a marketing plan, which I was responsible for. So if it fails miserably, I'm going to take it very personally. But no, it's a way to empower the customers, the comic book shop, themselves, the retailers, and also the vendors, in terms of like how they're able to order, how they're able to engage with the catalog itself every month. So for the longest time, right, like Previews catalog has been kind of beholden to this to that little sheet in the front of the catalog where you have to fill it out and then hand it out, rip it out, and then hand it off to your local comic shop to find out so they can order stuff for you, right? Well, I mean, that's we live in a data-driven era, right? Like, it just doesn't make sense to do that anymore. And so Diamond recognized that, like, look, we have a ton of data and content and material and just items, and so we need to be able to give people access to that and allow them like a way to order better. And so that's what Pullbox is. It's if you go to previewsworld.com right now, you won't be able to log into Pullbox just yet, but if you look at our catalog section, everything in the catalog is there. Like everything. If you look at the new release section, everything that came out this weekend is there, and it gets updated every single week, and then the catalog section gets updated every single month. And so you're able to explore every aspect of the catalog, top to bottom. And with Pullbox, the next step of that is once you have a Pullbox account and you log in, you'll be able to go to previewsworld.com/catalog every month and go, I want this, and then let your local store know, and they'll get notified about that. They approve your order, and then like you can add it to your subscription. You can like put it on a wish list. You know, you can do everything that you should be able to do. And you know, this is long overdue, and I'm excited about it.
So ultimately, what you're telling me is I can, on those nights where I can't sleep and I'm like, I got to get off TikTok, right? I got to get off TikTok. And I'm like, well, let me see what's new in comics. I can literally go through and I'm going to plug my comic shop, Richie's Comic Cabana out of Waterbury, Connecticut. Richie's a great guy. If I want certain stuff, I could just click on there. He's going to get a notification that this is what Nile wants. And he's going to be like, I'll approve it. And then basically it's going to get sent to him in whichever delivery that would be coming in.
Yes, exactly. Or he could be like, I don't like Nile, and I'm not going to order this for him.
You're like, screw that guy.
But yeah, that's right. I mean, look, but that's the concept. It's really just to like simplify this process. And yeah, I mean, and you know, currently there's already 310 stores that we've kind of backdoored into Pullbox to kind of test it out. So this isn't a Cyberpunk 2077 situation where we're just going to throw it out, you know, we're just going to throw it out into the internet and be like, we'll fix it later. Like, you know, no, this is the real deal. And so like, you know, stores have been using it. They've seen increases in orders, which is actually really cool. And on top of that, we've got something crazy like a couple of thousand customers engaging with it and using it and ordering through it right now. And so, you know, I won't give out the rollout dates just yet. Yeah. But the idea here is that, like, yeah, it's coming soon. And it's not really a secret. It's something, like I said, that retailers have been using and beta testing for us for, like, the last, like, year or so. And we've also been testing it at conventions for retailers as well. Mm-hmm. But it's going to be available to all retailers and the public soon, so keep an eye out.
Yeah, that's a really great idea.
I feel like you said it. You were like, "This is long overdue." It feels like something that's, you know, something that should. This isn't a thing already. Like you think about it, and you're like, "This isn't already a thing." But yeah, it's awesome.
There's a loyalty to comic shops, right? Like we all like we have Amazon, we have our things, but like if you're a true comic fan, you want your comic books, you're gonna have your loyalty to your local comic shop, right? Mm-hmm. And that's kind of like your Cheers. You walk in, you know, it's like, hey, Niall, it's like, hey, what's going on? And you're gonna be there for 2 hours, even though you think you're gonna be there for 10 minutes. But what's great is, you know, as you get older and you still want to be a fan, you have a family, your jobs, your careers increase. It's harder and harder to get there. But what's kind of nice is now you can actually pick what you want, right? Have it set for you. Like now you can, you know, actually like, yeah, you can peruse, you know, virtually your comic store's, you know, shelves and get everything set. So, you know, you can make that one trip like, okay, I don't have to stand there and look through everything. So I already did it. It's all there. I can say my hellos, hang out for a sec, and then I can actually, you know, move on. And I like, you know, and you're incorporating a way that's like, yeah, you can pick what you want, but you have to buy it at your comic shop.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, like, you know, I know that, you know, what Steve Jeppy has said quite a few times in light of like the DC move and all the other stuff that's been going on, and then the industry as a whole is like, you know, we're dedicated to comic shops. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's the thing. That's the key distinction here. And so, like, yeah, we want to make sure that they remain healthy, and that they remain thriving. And you know, this is the next step for that. So.
Very cool. That's very cool. But you know, you previews comics. You know, you talk about what's out there and things going on. But you're also a writer yourself. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, you write articles, sites. You've got your own comic book series, and I believe you have you know, your comic series that's out right now. How many issues are you up to now?
We're currently at 4 issues. This is Fight of the Century. We started it on Kickstarter. When I say we, I mean me and co-creator Nick Allen, no relation, just happens that we're both from the same area. We both have the same last name. But yeah, it's you know, it's the best way I can describe it is it's David and Goliath meets Frankenstein. I think that's the best way I could put it. Or Creed meets Akira. Like, that's another one that I like to throw out there, because it's a cyberpunk story. It takes place in Brazil in the future, and it's about this down and out martial artist who lives in the MMA world, and in this society where everyone is using performance enhancing drugs, and not just for sports, but just to get through life, just to succeed in school, just for like everyday things. And he's a martial artist by trade, and like he's kind of like, wait a minute, something's not right about this. And under the backdrop, of course, because I'm a big fan of things like RoboCop and Blade Runner, right? Like under the backdrop, of course, is this evil corporation that's kind of embedded itself into Brazil, because the story takes place in Brazil. And they have their propaganda and their marketing push, and they've really kind of like sold this entire country a bed of lies. And so it's like a conspiracy, but it's also a martial arts story. So it's just a lot of punching, but hopefully also a fun lesson about like the human spirit, and just how important it is that people can do things for themselves as much as do things with the aid of science. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. And now you sent me a link, so you've got this here as well. Now, is this a web comic?
So this is a free web comic I did. We dropped it on 420. And it's called MF Doom all caps. So I don't know if everybody here is familiar with MF Doom, but he was a hip hop artist who specialized in I'll say pop culture. Like he did a bunch of stuff for Cartoon Network that it was really popular, but on top of that, he adopted a Dr. Doom like persona. And he recently passed away. I think he was one of the casualties of 2020, and he passed away back in October. And he was literally my favorite rapper, like absolutely hands down, like my favorite rapper. And I just kind of was, I just had this moment where I was like, I feel like something was taken away from me. And I'm not one of those big people. I'm not one of those people who's big on like celebrity culture or anything like that. But I was like, damn it, this was one of mine. Like, what I mean? And I just had to do some sort of dedication to him. And so what I decided to do, and this was with the aid of cover artist Matt Rawson, artist Smack, editor Cy Shackelford, editor Maya Crown, letterers at And World Design, and colorist Luis Guerrero, who did a phenomenal job. We basically did a comic that was like, okay, everything that MF Doom rapped about, what if it was all real? Like, this isn't just a rap persona. This wasn't just like an act. But let's say that this is like, what if we could visualize his sound and the stories that he told in his raps? And that's what this is. And it's totally free to the public. You can read it on my Instagram, my Facebook. All you have to do is, or my Twitter. It's on TJA Comics, and it's on createtheculture.today, which is my website.
Nice. I gotta say that the interiors on this webcomic are incredible. I freaking love them. This is great. Who was the artist on this again?
Smack is his name, with an exclamation point.
That is awesome, man. This is incredible. Yeah, so check that out. There's a link to this in the description of the show. So if you want to head over and check out the webcomic. Also, if you want to grab yourself a copy of Troy's book, the link for this as well. There's a set thing over here. Your PayPal, add to cart, purchase the book. That link is also in the description of the show, so you can check that out. But that is cool, man. That's cool that you're doing that. Any other projects you have coming down the road in the realm of actually creating comics?
So I'm working on something that I probably will not crowdfund until next year, just because it's the loftiest thing I've done, and this is the one where I'm kicking the brakes off. I joke that MF Doom all caps was kind of my coming out party of sorts, just in terms of like I've collaborated a lot with people on stories. Like, I've always had a co-writer or like an artist that like we make these stories together. And, I'm at a point now where I'm like, I'm going to branch out on my own, and I'm just going to do all the crazy stuff I always wanted to do, hell or high water, kick everything, just kick the brakes off, just go for it. So I'm not going to say what that is just yet, but it is coming. And also, in terms of Previews World, I do some, there's a lot of stuff I do on that website that I'm proud of, particularly Got It Covered, which is a series of articles I do where I interview artists. I noticed sometime last year that artists don't get a lot of interviews Like it's always people talking to writers primarily, and I'm just enough of a '90s comic book kid that I'm like that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And I'm a writer, I'm not knocking writers, but I wanted to make sure that I focus on artists, because I mean that's what the kids like. I mean, comics is a visual medium, right? Like it's what brings people to the comic shop. It what gets butts in seats. It's what makes people want to read a comic in the first place. So I wanted to focus on that. And so what I've been doing is these series of interviews where artists take us through the cover process of some of these recent books. And I've gotten to interview some really cool people from Todd McFarlane to ACO. And that's been a lot of fun to do. So,
how was your interview with Todd McFarlane? I caught that. Because that was kind of, especially during the heart of the pandemic, I think that interview happened. How was it interviewing the Todd father?
Cool, man. Look, he's got great energy. The Todd father, right? Yeah. Like he's got great energy. That. Like he's, he's one of those dudes. Like I saw somebody actually earlier today point out that who are the best like spokespeople for comics, right? And they rattled off a bunch of names, and it was Todd McFarlane, Mark Miller, which I actually agree with, and Stan Lee. And I was like, those people kind of really work and operate in the same realm in terms of getting the word out about the industry and like getting people excited for things. And so it's hard not to be like, not to like be in the presence of Todd's energy and then let it take you with him, take him with you, so.
So let me ask you this question. And feel guys, I talk a lot, so so whenever you want, if you need to interrupt me, by all means, please do. All right. So here's my thing, right? I've talked to Todd's people many times and stuff, and we've been working to try to get him on this show to do an interview. And one thing I had like an idea for a show, and I wanted to talk to them about. But in my eyes, obviously we lost Stan Lee, and that man he represented the product so well. He represented the characters he did, and people can argue his development and things of that nature and what he did and his purpose in creating blah blah blah. I look at it now that if there is anyone out there that is truly like the next Stan Lee, someone that can make the room actually go silent and listen, to me that's Todd McFarlane. I feel Todd McFarlane is basically now Stan Lee. Yeah.
I think you're 100% right. And I think we need more people like that. Like, I think that, look, the industry is filled with a lot of introverts, but like we need a couple of extroverts in there to kind of like let people know that this industry is good for you and you can come in and you can have fun and it's all good.
Yeah. But the true test when we need to know if something's really accurate, Troy, is we need to know if Jen likes him.
Oh, no.
Jen, what are your thoughts on Todd McFarlane?
Honestly, I don't know anything about him. Like, literally zero. So
we'll take that as you hate him.
No.
No.
Don't tell him. I'm gonna get angry DMs from him.
No. But yeah, no, that's cool that you get to interview these great people too. And when you have these interviews, so anyone out there that's watching this live and that's going to be watching this recorded, where can they go to subscribe or to get notifications when you guys are airing new shows, so they can know when these great interviews and stuff are happening?
It's real simple. It's just Previews World. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on YouTube, of course, and we're actually on Twitch. But we got to give our Twitch a little bit more love. It's kind of sad right now, but we do update it every week. Our weekly show does go to Twitch, but yeah, we just haven't been focusing on it a lot. But yeah, like just go to Previews World.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great, man. I got to say, it's been a real pleasure talking with you. And one thing is, you and I actually met because I've become pretty decent friends with Josh Jeppy and stuff, and you and I met over in Baltimore. I think that was the last Baltimore that we had before the pandemic.
The last Baltimore ever.
But you guys have a heck of a setup when you do conventions. So I got to ask, man, are you guys working on your 2021 convention lineup, or are you going to forego it this year?
Oh, man, yeah. I got that email this past week where it's just sort of like, well, San Diego's doing this and New York's doing this. And I'm like, I don't want to do any of these things. Like, I'll be very honest. And it's not because, I have a blast when I go, but I'm just not at that level of comfort just yet. But, I got the vaccine. But I don't know. We've definitely been joking at work that I don't know if the vaccine might work for COVID, but I don't know if it's going to work for the nerd flu. I don't think it's right. Exactly.
There's no escaping that.
The con cough.
The con crud.
Yeah, the con crud. That's it. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Have you experienced that yet, Adam?
Definitely. I mean, I have. There was a company called PCB Productions. Had a booth at Comic-Con, an Edge booth, and I wrote comics for them. And Keith and I worked in video games together. And so I was there multiple years in a row and would run the convention, set up the booth, the whole thing. Back in the day, and I think it's impossible not to know that experience.
Yeah, I didn't believe it was a thing. I thought I was invincible, and then one year I came back from New York, and I just was like on my ass for like a couple of days. I was like, oh God, it got me.
It's close quarters, man. It's close quarters.
And everybody's breathing and touching you. How it gets on, especially on the Comic-Con floor. It's like you're on the train in Beijing, and people just kind of push you from the back and just kind of move this machine along. And I wish they did a better way of filtering that floor. So it's because you're like, oh, I'd love to look at that comic. Oh, whoops! You're just pushed past it. You can't escape.
Nope. Just got to make a mental note to get back to it later.
There you go.
Yeah,
but hey, Troy,
guys, I don't know what you're talking about. I get out of the way. I've got to go over there.
That's different. They'll you could part the sea, but for us, they don't move. They don't move.
They're not moving for dudes that look like this.
I get so mad. I do though. Like when I'm at the cons, like people aren't moving, I'm like, just move. Like,
I
you
do
just
the
want to
same thing.
get out of the way.
Yeah.
And that's when you flash your badge. You're like, I'm a guest. Get out of my way. They're like, you're Billy Tucci. I'm like, yeah, that's me. We ain't even angry at
We actually had do you cosplay, Jen? Is that do you typically cosplay these conventions? Yeah, we had a cosplayer on a couple of weeks ago, and she said that one of the best things about cons is like you can kind of clear a room if you have the right cosplay. And she told us that she did Cruella de Vil one year, and she was just like kind of like, get out of the way, moving like people just like literally just moved for her. And I was like, you know what, that's a good approach to this. I totally get that. I respect that. So
That's awesome.
Jen's does crazy cosplay. Like you got to see.
She does the good
Check out.
stuff.
She does the good stuff, and she does everything herself. I'm shamelessly promoting you right now, Jen, because your costumes are ridiculously awesome. Like you're such a great costume designer and photographer. I definitely got to check that. Check all of her stuff out. It's really good. No joke.
all right, cool.
She want to be here, hanging out with us. If it wasn't good. No, I'm joking. No, she's cool.
I mean, I can tell
cool.
she's a real deal. She's a real deal based on the setup behind her. Like she's not playing games.
Thanks. Look at that. My sign is really cool, guys. I just spent a lot of time on that. It's a lot of glitter. So.
Oh, nice. That's cool.
Yeah, that looks good. But hey, Troy, thank you so much for chatting with us and hanging out with us tonight. And you're always welcome back on if you have the time, especially if with any other books you have going on. Whether you're crowdfunding or anything, we'd love to come on. It's kind of like the bread and butter of how this channel started. With Billy, with Billy doing, being an indie creator from back in the day and crushing it. And that's why we started the channel, was to, let's give exposure to, people out there that are trying to do the same thing with all the new mediums of Kickstarter, Indiegogo, and all that other stuff. So if you ever want to come on with that book, that'd be awesome.
Absolutely. And, all of you are invited to Previews World as well. Like, we love having guests on and mixes up the show every single week. Sometimes it's just me, Ashton, and Johnny, which is fine. It's great. But, you do that we've been doing this for about 145 episodes. So it's like when we have a guest on, it kind of gives us a little shot in the arm. That's every single week, too. We've taken a few holidays off, but that's about it. So, yeah.
Nice.
Thanks, guys.
Well, everyone, make sure to
thank
check
you
out
for
the
that.
links.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And Troy, good luck with everything.
Pleasure.
And, hopefully you don't have to go to the cons.
Fingers crossed.
Coming back.
Save it for 2022. Absolutely.
There you
Thanks,
go.
guys.
All right, man. Have a great night. Oh, and
Take
one
care.
more thing. Congratulations again.
Oh, thank you. Yes, yeah, I am
Congratulations.
engaged. Exactly. Yes, I
Yes.
am. Yeah, I'm sure she's in the other room, kind of like, what are they talking about? But yeah.
I just want to
Thanks,
get that in.
guys.
Congratulations again. Good luck with everything. The planning part is fun.
Is it? Okay. Okay. I'll take
No,
it.
it is. It's fun. It's fun. All right, man. Have a great weekend.
See you
All right,
guys.
we'll
Take
talk
care.
to you later. The planning part is always the funnest part. It's always the funnest part. But hey, so we got another guest that we're going to jump into now. This is our indie creator guest. This is actually a gentleman we've had on before on crowdfunding comics. He's worked on Transformers, other products, and now he has his second book out for Gunship Thunderpunch. So without further ado, everyone, I'm going to welcome in Brian Shearer to the show. Hey, Brian, how we doing?
Well, that was fancy.
Fancy schmancy, man. Welcome back. It's been a while.
I know. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm tired, but whatever.
I can imagine. Long days, long nights, creating, drawing, writing, doing it all.
Yeah. And I got a 9-year-old son who goes 100 miles an hour. So in the middle of all that, I've got that. And but I'm glad I'm here.
Oh, very cool. So last time we had you on the show, it was for Gunship Thunderpunch book, your first issue, and now you have the second one out. But we have new viewers, we've got a new audience. So if you don't mind, I'd love for you to just kind of give us a little bit of your origin story, how you got into comics, and then ultimately how you got into crowdfunding your own comics.
Well, let's see. I've been working in comics for about 10 years now, full time, and then I worked probably 5 years trying to break in, getting stuff here and there, but I first got into comics doing an indie book back in, a real crappy one way back in the 2000s, and just got better at art and stuff. And then I started getting, my first job was, I was filling in on a Doctor Who issue for IDW, and then I ended up finishing that mini series because the penciler couldn't finish it. And then from there, I think I went on to do a couple Transformer issues. And one thing, leads to another. You start getting to know the editors and all that. And then I ended up on G.I. Joe for like 6-7 years. So I was on there forever, which spoiled me having monthly work in comics for, stupid old Brian's like, well, I'm getting work things easy. But
I don't know what these other guys are talking about. This is great.
Bunch of losers.
It's easy. I'm loaded.
But so then I was doing books on the side, like I had my fantasy book William the Last, and I was just putting that out online, and then I was doing some Transformer stuff here and there as well. But then a few years ago, I'd been crowdfunding art books, and I crowdfunded on Kickstarter just a single floppy issue of William the Last to kind of test the waters and do something small. And then I wanted to do the IDW work started drying up. I still do some G.I. Joe stuff here and there, but what happened was I was inking the book at the time, and the penciler set found out they were doing a G.I. Joe versus the $6 Million Man crossover, and he's a child of the 70s, and he's like, we're doing this book. And so we went there thinking, oh, we'll just hop over there and hop back. Well, while we were over there, they got a new creative team for G.I. Joe, so it was all of a sudden we're not on G.I. Joe anymore. And so it was the right time to kind of do my own thing. And since I'd done robots and G.I. Joe and stuff, the next book I did was a giant transforming robot story, hence Gunship Thunderpunch. And so that one got funded on Indiegogo in almost 2 years ago, I think. And it was an 80-page part one of a trilogy, and got funded. And so now this is book 2, and that's where we are. Yeah,
there you are. So you're doing great. I mean, you got 11 days left on the campaign. You're now encroaching on 20K, which is awesome. Before we get into it, though, I'm going to play your campaign video for everyone.
Gunship Thunderpunch is back. This second graphic novel in the series picks up where the adventure began in the first 80-page book. And if you missed book 1, don't worry. You can get on board with books 1 and 2 in this Indiegogo campaign. Martians kidnapped her son, and Nova Marcos has one chance to get him back. Her only hope lies with an outdated transforming gunship, a convict, and a gun-toting hillbilly. More mutants, more Martians, more ships, more sci-fi robot adventure. During this campaign, you can get exclusive extras like prints, trading cards, and original art. Time is limited, so get in now. But hang on, there's more. This book comes with an original synthwave album. Immerse yourself in the adventure with an original soundtrack inspired by Gunship Thunderpunch. Get your quarters ready to go. That's an arcade reference. And press start on Gunship Thunderpunch.
Great animation in that video.
Nice.
That is awesome. I like that. Get your quarters ready. It's an arcade reference.
Yeah, Brian, I love the art on this book and the colors and the way this feels like somewhere between Transformers and GoBots, but maybe more fun than both. And the fact that you threw a hillbilly into it. You said, wait, let's let's throw a hillbilly that'll into the mix of it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, so this is kind of my love letter to the '80s properties that I grew up with, like Transformers and all those things. So, yeah, it's a fun book, and like I said, this one also comes with a synthwave album. Me and a buddy of mine are putting together. So every tier gets access to the album when it's done.
Yeah. This is now something I've been seeing quite a bit in campaigns. Just the other night I had another creator on, and they're adding soundtracks to the books that goes along with it. Is that something you're seeing pick up, or is this something you're just like, hey, this is what I want to do, and you went for it?
Well, this was just a kind of an excuse to do another music project, because I haven't done music in a while, and a friend of mine has a good setup, and so I just kind of decided to do it, and then once I launched the campaign, it's like you get interested in a car, and then you start seeing that car everywhere. And so I look around, and all of a sudden everybody's got music with their stuff. It's like, I thought I was being something in the water, totally. I guess. I thought I was being all clever. It's like, no, you're not.
It's cool music,
but I'm writing.
But your music will be original, I'm sure.
Yes, this is original.
Will be special. It'll be yeah.
So take that, other people.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes.
No, like your art. I mean, your line work and everything, man. You're right there. I mean, you are incredible artist. And I mean, the interiors on this book are ridiculous.
Are you doing the whole thing, Brian? Are you lines and colors?
I'm doing everything except the lettering.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, way to go.
Oh.
I mean, everything is just absolutely amazing in this. And everyone, if you're interested in this, make sure to head on over to Indiegogo, look up Gunship Thunderpunch. And what's cool about this campaign is that you can catch up right at book 1, which happens to be right here. Yep. And it's in the campaign, so if you need to catch up to it, you can get. There's a level where you can get issues 1 and 2. It's really awesome, extremely well drawn book. I know people that have backed the first one, and they have said nothing but amazing things about it. I think we even are. I don't know if Billy unboxed his yet or whatnot, but it might still be in the mix of our unboxing series that Billy has compiled over the last 2 years of campaigns that I have now forced him to start opening. So unboxing days with Tucci, look out. But yeah, man, this is incredible. How many more issues in this series are you gonna go?
There's one book in this this origin story, and then I have some ideas for some other stuff after it, so I can keep going. People seem to like it, and I'd be stupid not to keep doing it, and I like it, so why not? So as soon as I finish this trilogy, what I'll do is I want to get this one's supposed to come out in September. I want to have the next campaign at least getting ready to launch at the end of the year, and then I'll do a collected. I'd love to do a hardcover of all 3 books, so that'll be over 200 and some pages of story. So they're averaging about 70 pages 70 or 80 pages a book.
Oh wow. Oh, that's incredible. It is awesome. Your colors, your line work, everything is just dynamic. Now let's get into it though. For anyone out there that's hasn't ever been seeing your work out there, familiar with your work, give us the synopsis. Issue 1 and where we are now in issue 2.
Well, issue 1, like the trailer said, her son was kidnapped, and so she springs this convict who's serving a life sentence, who piloted this, or was the commander of this gunship in the war between Mars and Earth. And what she doesn't know is that the ship they're going to get is sentient and it's been abandoned in a junkyard for 30 years. So it's not happy about that. So they get their help from the hillbilly who has the weapons. They take off, and then things go really wrong from there, and they end up where not anywhere near Mars, but at the end of it, they're in trouble. So this book picks up right there, and things get worse because this is Act 2, and Act 2 is where you throw rocks at your characters because you love them.
Definitely, that's awesome. Now for this book, you got 11 days left on the campaign. You made goals, so this is definitely going in demand. Do you have a time frame of when you're going to get this book into the backers' hands?
I'm shooting for September, so I'm giving myself the summer to wrap it all up and get the synthwave album all together, and then get it printed. And so the printing itself, it gets turned around in like 2 weeks. So I was able to work with someone in the States, and they do a great job, and so I don't have to wait a month and 2 months for things to come from China. anymore.
Nice.
Like I
Excellent.
used to. So yeah, I'm trying to, like I said, I'm
that's
trying to get
nice.
this one out the door and get on to the next one.
Awesome. Yeah, and right here, the featured tier is book 1 and 2. So anyone that's looking to catch up on the whole story and you need both copies, it's right at the top. It's the select perk, featured perk, so you can get issues 1 and 2. Now, let me ask you a question. So you've been doing crowdfunding, you've been in mainstream. You know, the comic industry is, you know, upside down still, and it probably will be for a while. And everyone's just pointing fingers at each other and doing things. But more and more creators are going to right? They're just like, you know what, this is ridiculous. I want to make what I want to make. I want my creative freedom. You know, I'm going the indie way, crowdfunding, whatever it could be, right? So let me ask you, you know, from doing mainstream and also doing crowdfunding, I mean, what would be the best advice you can give to a new creator out there that is just really trying to muster the courage to just pull the trigger and do their book?
Well, one thing I would say, there's 2 things you need. One is a good book, a good pitch. When you're putting together your Indiegogo, you know, think of it as you got to sell it, right? You got to talk it up. I always tell people, because I've heard people do this kind of pitch where they kind of go into their existential crisis what they had when they were making this book, and is it going to be good and stuff. It's like, you do that behind the scenes. When you pull the trigger, you have to put on your Stan Lee hat and act like it's the best thing ever, right? So you need to be positive and show that the people that are potential backers that you believe in it. Otherwise, they're not going to back it. I would say if you're going to start a crowdfunding thing, start with your first project. Start something small, you know, just like a single issue thing. Set a low goal just so you get the ropes. You know how you're not going to get, you know, screwed over on shipping or any kind of learn slowly. Don't shoot for something big at the beginning. And other than that, you really need to be building up your audience beforehand. I mean, like at least 6 months, but honestly, a year or more. I mean, you've got to build up people that want to see you succeed and are excited about your book. So, you know, if you're on Twitter or YouTube or wherever, you know, you kind of get some traction, you need to double down on it and, you know, help and constantly be on there. And it sucks because you always have to be on social media. I mean, if it wasn't for this, no one would ever hear from me. I would just disappear. But you know, you've got to be out there and find your audience. So you've got to put on that business hat of the marketing thing. Otherwise, it's just, you're not going to throw up a book on Indiegogo or Kickstarter and it just because it's up there, it explodes. I mean, I guess that could happen, but that's extremely unlikely.
Yeah, no, that's great advice. That's great advice. And our time's running out here. I just want to open up to the rest of the group here if anyone has any questions or anything for Brian.
Brian, go ahead. Good.
Did you write the music for the synthwave stuff too?
Yeah, I'm writing the music with a friend of mine, so we're going back and forth and.
That's awesome. And I saw that you might do a music video. That would be so cool.
Yeah, you know, it was the pie in the sky stretch goal, but secretly I still might do it anyway. I just want to, but don't tell anybody. I make no promises.
Do you need costumes?
Oh my no.
It'll be animated, like the animation in the trailer. So I was gonna do an animated music video for one of them.
Nice.
That would be really cool.
Very cool.
And then you can send all the backers.
I would love to see that. That would be super epic.
Yeah.
We'll air it on here, man. Just get it going. We'll play it. We'll play the music video. It'll be at our music awards at the end of the year. POPXP Music Awards.
You're branching out.
Yeah, there you go. No, this is amazing, man. Everything looks good. I'm a big fan of your artwork, so it was cool seeing that you had the campaign going. And I'm glad you reached out to me. You were actually on our list. Frank Amazing was going to be reaching out to you to come on Crowdfunding Comics, which you can still come on if you want to promote this again. But we'll keep continuing we'll continue to promote this through Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Frank will be sharing it around just to help spread the word of this book. And hey, congratulations on getting funded. You're 3,803% over your goal, and man, you're crushing it.
Yeah, it looks great.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate
it. Thanks for joining the show.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Anytime. All right, Brian, have yourself a great weekend, and thanks again for coming on.
All right, bye everybody.
All right. See ya.
Thanks, Brian.
I love that dude's artwork.
Oh,
it's cool.
It's good.
It brings you back to the 80s, like you said, it's almost
Totally.
like a homage to his 80s loves, the things he grew up with, he was watching, he was reading, and I think he does it very well.
No, absolutely. It doesn't feel like it's this GoBots Transformers mashup, and it's aesthetic. Yeah.
Exactly. But so moving on.
Wait, I want to say one thing.
Yes.
I listened to he had the synthwave examples.
I did too.
I was listening to it. I was like, hell yeah, that's actually like, I'm not really into synthwave, but you get that like feeling from like, you can see how it pairs really, really well with his style of book. So it was very exciting.
I was contemplating whether to play that or not, but I'm like still so leery about the whole copyright thing. Like ever since Wonder Woman 84 and since, I'm like I don't know what to play when we're live.
No, I know that totally it was just destroyed the channel over. How's that possible? Everybody plays these trailers.
I know, it's incredible. I don't know, but this week, our focus really on comics was primarily, Jupiter's Legacy and going through that, and we touched base on the series, Netflix. We touched base on the comics and how they compared a bit. Yes, Jen.
I just want to say one more thing about it, and then I promise I'll leave it alone. I've been thinking this whole time about, so I think if you should watch the show or read the comic, because if the show ends up being the comic book just super expand, you're going to get super spoiler alerts by reading the comic. So if you like the story but are really interested in all the background details and seeing like those concepts really, really expanded upon, then I would watch the show, but probably not both.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Good point.
That is a good point. That's a great point. I'm glad you said that.
I was sitting here thinking about it the whole time.
It was stewing.
You planned that out. It delivered.
Yeah, no, that was a perfect point. And that's the thing. I mean, as far as a quick comic review on the series, I mean, the comic book series, I mean, it is well drawn. I think everything works well. I think
Frank Quietly is epic.
Yeah. Incredible. I mean, the style is, it's so
good.
Unique to him. It works for the story. It's kind of neat too, because like one thing we didn't really touch on is really kind of the appearance of the heroes, right? Long hair, white beards, long white hair, but you almost think like they are kind of like gods in a sense, right? They're almost like transformed into gods. I mean, he's called the Utopian, I mean, but they almost like he has that reminiscence of like a Zeus.
It looks like Jesus.
The white,
I was like,
the hair. It did have a little Jesus look to it. But I do recommend that people go out, and I do think, like Jen said, watch the series or read the series if it's new to you. And if it's not new to you and you've read it already, watch the series and give us your thoughts. But there's a guy I know that really likes to dive in, and every now and then he likes to, go through graphic novels, and he always makes it a point to read some new books constantly. And so I figure, why not? We do some recommendations. And Adam has 2 great recommendations out there for some graphic novels if anyone is interested.
Yeah, so I because I do, like I mentioned, I do the reading, and so these are the 2 I finished this last week. This week, and they're thick, they're massive, but they're epic tales. This first one is T-Bird and Throttle. It's by Josh Howard. I don't know if you guys know him, but he literally draws, colors, this whole thing. So How Rad is kind of his own thing. This also is on Alterna. You can get it. He wrote and created this book called Dead at 17. I don't know if anybody ever read that one, but this is what I love about indie comics. This book is the real definition of it here. It's a true auteur creating their own tale. And like this guy gets his powers from this engine, which is in his chest. He found it on Mars. He was dying, and this engine was inserted into his chest. And like when he flies, like these engine pipes come out of his back, and he takes off into the sky. And it leads into this other story, and it's like seems like fun art, but it's complicated storytelling with this man whose wife is cheating on him, and he's this superhero, and his life is falling apart, and it's heart-wrenching and emotional, and it has cool plot twists, and it has this well-written dialogue. Jimmy got it. And you even though this is a thick book, this first trade, you just fly through this experience, and it's like when you read this, it's like this is the magic of indie comics. So T-Bird and Throttle is recommend number 1. And recommend number 2 is this one called The Wailing Blade. And this is a super rad hardcover that has a cutout, right?
Cool.
Oh, nice.
Rad hardcover. So I found this on Comixology just randomly, and I read it first there. There it is. It's awesome, and it's incredibly beautiful art and colors inside of this thing, and it's this dark, unique fantasy tale, right, about this like executioner who kills people for the Empire, right? And his massive sword, they call it the Wailing Blade. And there's two of there's a man and a woman who are these executioners. And it's like the thoughts inside of his head of how lonely and depressing it is to be this executioner, right? The one that everyone fears and hates. And there's these band of rebels that get caught up in this and end up having to face this killer. And it's, once again, is this beautiful new take on a fantasy world with a fresh approach through the point of view of this executioner, right? Who has this lonely road, and once again, a tale you can't get anywhere else, right? You can only be found here. And the writer Rich Duvek did a really amazing job. The whole team, I was so impressed. But these are two books that are like why indie comics are great, and why sometimes it's sad when they take Miller and they just do his superhero story instead of all these other really interesting stories that are so available. And it's just really hard to make a superhero story that's going to be better than Avengers. But you can tell other stories. And anyways, those are my two recommends: The Wailing Blade, T-Bird and Throttle.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that, man. Yeah, check that out. We'll have links to that. I'll add those into the description of this episode, and Herrenberg has been posting them in the chat as well. So if you're looking for a good read, I mean, there's no other person in this world I would trust more to explore some new books with than some of Adam's recommendations. So you guys definitely should take it to heart.
Cool.
Very cool, very cool. And another thing that's cool, I mean, I know, Adam, you're working on some stuff with this company and whatnot, but Mass Effect just released the new remastered game today. Are you guys going to dabble in any of that? Is anyone going to play it?
I think Jen has some stronger feelings.
I'm a Pentagon. I'm a light side Jedi. Always do the good thing. So I got my little pen that I got. Yeah.
Nice. Well, Mass Effect Legendary Edition's out. I mean, it's a remastered edition, right? Bringing it to the new consoles. I don't know. Is it something you think Mass Effect still holds the same magic?
Yeah. They didn't need to remaster it. It was still amazing. Like, you look at the before and after, and I'm like, that's not really that big of a difference.
It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell. But yeah, if you guys are into this game, I mean, head on over, check out the trailers. Again, I'm not going to play it. I want to, but I'm not going to. But I mean, the game looks gorgeous.
I'm so interested, but I can't see myself having the time to dive into that massive 3 Mass Effect games. Like, I played them once, and that's good. I've seen the story, but it would be quite an undertaking. It's cool to see maybe the remasters for people that haven't played it, and the old graphics don't appeal to them, but it doesn't look too horribly different to me. Like, the frame rate's better, that's for sure, and it's clear, but it's like they didn't go back and like revamp the entire game or anything. It wasn't like a redo. So if you've played it before, you might not want to play it again, but just because it's a massive undertaking. I mean, that's like hundreds of hours of game to get through.
I think they're like 30 hours, 35 hours if you do all the quests and everything. I beat the first one in 3 days when it came out. I did not play it.
Thank you, Andrew. We appreciate it. Hope you subbed.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think I would probably get a copy of this game again, because I do like the remastered stuff. I do like when they take the time to kind of, update the game, because when you really like a game, even like with like the Halo stuff, they've done the remastered things and whatnot. When you're like really into it, sometimes when you're playing like, the original version, after you've been treated with such great graphics and development and gaming, it's kind of hard to go back to the blockier times. This here, though, I will agree with Jen on the fact that, like, I don't think you can see some updates, frame rates are great and whatnot, but I don't really see too much of a difference.
Yeah.
You know, I'm looking at the comparison here, but I mean, obviously everyone can make that judgment on their own.
Playing it with the control in your hand is probably a lot different. Honestly, just it probably feels clunkier on the old version.
I'd have to say it clearly looks
side.
like this is Xbox 360 quality.
I play it on PC.
That's kind of cool.
so-
I do that.
Yeah. No, that's pretty cool though. That's pretty neat. So yeah, you guys, that just released today. That just came out today. So if anyone's out there getting it, you know, pick up the game. Let us know how it is. You know, put your commentary in the comments below and let us know your thoughts on it. Now, speaking of games, you know, I know someone on this panel that just loves Pokemon. She actually hunts.
Ooh.
She hunts her own Pokemon in her yard. She has wild Pikachus. Wild Pikachus in her yard. I've seen them in picture form. And, you know, she brought to our attention because many of us that watch this, our shows on this channel are comic collectors and gamers and stuff. And, you know, there's kind of a pandemic going on in the collector's world with Pokemon cards and how they're coming out of the woodwork. All the grading services are getting extremely overwhelmed, and there's a massive lead time on getting your cards graded, encased, and protected.
That's crazy.
You see what the comic world has done to every other form of like collecting. Look at video games, tabletop games, cards. I mean, it's all going to this encasement. Everything's got to be sealed and graded, and that is what their true worth is now.
Craziness.
It is incredible. Jen, what are we going to do?
I don't know. Three of my friends that I know have just randomly started collecting Pokemon cards recently. They're like, I don't know why I'm doing this. I don't play the game, and it's really expensive, but I'm just going to start collecting them. It's like, okay. They're really, really hard to find right now in like all comic book stores and even like places like Walmart. People apparently, if they stock their shelves at like 10 o'clock in the morning, people will get there at like 8 o'clock to wait in line to be able to purchase the Pokemon cards the second that they are allowed to sell them on the shelf. So yeah, people are like really going nuts for these.
Yeah, and the worst part about this article, everyone please pay attention.
33.
Yeah. See this $350,000 card? I think I gave that
that's in
away.
yen.
Oh, yeah, we were talking about it. You never found it?
No, it's in American dollars underneath here. That's not.
I'm messing.
Oh, I was like, wait a minute.
No,
Adam,
I'm messing.
you're crazy, man. You're crazy. I didn't. I have to call someone and find out because I had like all original Pokemon cards, first edition cards, and like a year ago, my buddy's kid or my wife's friend's kid or whatever was really into Pokemon. I had this thing collecting dust, and me being the guy I am, I'm always like, oh, you know, this needs to be appreciated. They're not worth anything. And then Jen sends me this BS, and now I have to call at least and be like, hey, so you might have this card. You want to split it? Like, what do you do in that situation? That is just incredible. I'm hoping that's not the card that I gave away, but very well could be. Who knows? But yeah, it's crazy. Isn't it insane, the value of things and what they're coming to? Right, guys? Right?
I mean, I thought the Magic the Gathering cards were rising up in value, but this shames them.
Ridiculous.
I directed a series for Hasbro with Magic the Gathering and celebrities, and it was fun. We brought in Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who pulled his collection of Magic the Gathering cards out of his closet, right, and he hadn't opened them since he was a kid, and he was going to open that binder up on the show, right, and he opens the binder, and on the first page there's a Mox Ruby and a Mox Pearl and a couple double lands, and the first thing he says is, oh, that's where my D&D character is. Flips the page over, and then we played the game with him unsleeved. He shuffled the Moxes and said, let's play. And, and I thought those were quite expensive cards. Probably like in the 5,000 to 10,000 Jen, isn't that about right where those are landing? But 350,000. It's
well, doesn't Magic have some cards that are worth like $500,000 now or something?
I didn't think so. Let me the Black Lotus.
The Black Lotus is probably the most expensive card.
Yeah. This Black Lotus Ancestral Recall, the Mox Sapphire, Time Vault. Okay, so they're coming in at 1 to 3. The Pearl's coming in at 4. Okay, let's find this out here. Let me get to the bottom of this.
I didn't think Pokemon trumped Magic cards yet.
No, it destroys them.
Really?
Okay,
Wow.
the highest is the Black Lotus. It's the most expensive of all time. And it's, get the original version of it, we're talking about $250,000 at top value. Mm-hmm. But like that's number 1, and number 2 is Ancestral Recall at $15,000.
Oh,
So
okay, yeah, Pokemon's crushing it.
Pokemon has destroyed it.
Well, they have a much
Yeah.
larger fan base, like tons of Pokemon merch and TV shows, and kids love it, adults love it. I worked at a comic book store or in a game shop, and we would do Pokemon tournaments, and you had like 8-year-olds and like 50-year-olds. Like it was just a huge range of like ages, and they loved playing Pokemon.
Yeah,
No, I mean Pokemon as a brand is you can't be touched. I was doing a TV show, and somebody was asking me, "Hey Adam, do you think we could do incorporate an element like Pokemon Go where they're traveling around?" I mean, that couldn't have been very expensive for them to make that, right? Like maybe $800,000. I was like, no, dude. That's like a $400 million investment to make a worldwide geotagged traveling experience that millions of people can play simultaneously. Is they've got money.
It's quite a venture then. It's quite a venture. But another thing that's actually pretty cool in the gaming world is League of Legends animated series was announced at Netflix, and Jen had brought this up as well because you're a huge League of Legends fan, right, Jen?
Yes and no. Like I started playing in beta. And it was like really fun. Everybody was still learning the game, and it was like all these champions, and then like how they work together. Mm-hmm. But then like the meta happened, and people like took it so seriously that they learned how the best way to play the game. And so now everybody plays the same champions because they're the best ones, and they play it in this very particular style. And so once it kind of got like really competitive, I stopped having fun with it because there was like, this is how you played this game, and I was like, well, that's not how I like to play it. And they're like, well, that's too bad. And the community is super toxic. People will like just destroy you if they think you're not playing well, and you're like, I'm new. They're like, it doesn't matter, you fucking suck, quit, kill yourself. It's really horrible.
Wow.
The lore is really great. The character concepts, the character descriptions, they really build entire backstories for every single character. There's tons of different, kind of like Ravnica we were talking about, there's tons of different kingdoms and worlds and cities, and each character is from one of those, and they have their own like backstories and themes and stuff. So it's really, really rich with lore. So that's why I'm super excited for this, because there is just so many possibilities that they could go with this. And Riot has a very, very good reputation. They have like Runeterra, which is like Hearthstone, and they have they have their MOBA. They have several games, and they're always super polished. They're not the Cyberpunk where we'll fix it later. Everything comes out super polished, like really good, never any issues. So I'm really excited for this. I hope they don't fuck it up.
Yeah. Did you hear that, Netflix? Don't fuck it up.
They got the message. Yeah. They got the message.
Oh, that's cool. I'm looking forward to see that too. I didn't get too into the game, but after talking with Jen and stuff about it, and like getting more into it and like researching it, I'm like, oh, this might be a really cool, series to watch. With the dynamics of the characters and everything.
To build off of. That's awesome.
Yeah.
But now the more I'm thinking about it too, I really think like Netflix or one of these things should really make a series out of, based on something involving magic. Magic the Gathering. I think that would be great.
The Ravnica comic book, that's what it was supposed to be, and then they ruined it.
Sorry, Boom. We didn't really care for it.
That was.
We've been ripping on Boom lately, man.
Yeah. I don't know, but
well, I think you can rip on Boom after what happened with Berserker, and you paid your $50 like I did, and you're gonna get the 3 graphic novels in just 2 years from now. But we're always just gonna release them in comic book shops anyways in August as regular issues. So it's like, wait a minute, we just gave you a bunch of money up front. You are not a person who needed help, and this isn't something special because you can just get it in the shop. Oh yeah, you can just do that instead. That was just so deflating because it just removed
Yeah.
any value of a crowdfunding experience, right? Like
That's frustrating
Keanu Reeves
for
is
people
amazing.
like me that use the crowdfunding platform. It's like, why are you using it for that purpose? And making people wait for the product. It's like, it'd be one thing if you guys were getting like an exclusive preview essentially of the book or something, but no, you have to wait until it's like.
But that
Till
is
it's
actually
done
a controversial topic, though, because think about it, right? Look at Scott Snyder. Look at what they did with Boom, right? Like Nocturna.
Yeah,
that was
didn't work for
out
me either.
in comic shops already. Like, I was so dumbfounded when all of a sudden I'm like, Nocturna's being fulfilled in such and such amount of time. Yet I'm like, wait, but it's in the comic shop already. So all you were really buying was a special edition, like line work. Book, it's pretty much black and white and stuff. It wasn't like what the floppies were in the comic shops. And it's like, all right, I get that, and it's like a double dipping, right? It's a double dipping of the market.
Yeah. It's a little sad.
Yeah, it's like you're not. That's not the point of the crowdfunding.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. It's like, and especially from people who make a tremendous living working for the biggest players in the game. Keanu Reeves, who I love. I did a commercial with him. He's a great guy. There's so many things I love about him. I don't even think he probably even realized the scope of that. That's not what he doesn't know how that machine
he doesn't know how
works.
to do it.
No, he doesn't know how that works. And the thing about with Scott Snyder, it's like, boy, Scott, that's super disingenuous. You just did that for a comic that already had distribution, was already going to be in the comic shop, already a thing. So then you just paid a premium price for something we could just get for $3.99, and you already have plenty of money. I don't know that I just felt so disingenuous with that experience. I wouldn't back his stuff again. Whereas I feel like with Sean Gordon Murphy or with David Kind, with Sean Gordon Murphy, plot holes is not available anywhere else. It's just this way. Or with Matt Kind, what he did with Cosmic Detective. It's like with Jeff Lemire and Dave Stewart. Like those guys did things that were special and unique, and you get them just here. But it just seems like
I
other
understand.
is just like,
I understand
this is
established
dirty
creators
stuff.
bringing stuff that they might not get out any other way, and they want to do
That's
their
right.
own thing.
I back that.
That's what it's for, right?
Yeah.
But to bring something that's already has distribution and is already out, and it's like, why are you using this? Is not Amazon. Like, this is, what I mean? It's not a selling platform in that sense. It's meant for bringing something new out.
I feel like what they're doing is they're trying to establish their foothold in the market to be like, hey, look, I'm so-and-so. I'm crowdfunding. Because what's going to happen is ultimately that big contract has an end. It has an expiration. And the way the industry's been going, I think they're trying to secure another avenue for their books. I mean, they're getting distributed through Image. They're now, and that's the thing too with their crowdfunding. They're not actually doing it, right? Like you guys, when you're doing your crowdfunding books and stuff, like you're part of that actual true fulfillment process. They just created it and walk away. Someone else is literally doing everything.
Sure, and it's a shame. And what's just a shame about it is it's just kind of disingenuous to the fans who, like, for example, with Sean Gordon Murphy, what he did with plot holes, right? Like, that's not available anywhere else. Sean had his own vision for this, and it's going to be available there. And he did some really cool special things, and it's like, I would do that, right? Like, or Scott said, I was like, I'm going to do this book, or any major creator said, I'm doing this thing that on my own. I back that, right?
Exactly.
Like, Scott Snyder is cool because he writes Batman, but he's writing for AT&T, the biggest media company in the history of media. So, he's writing for the biggest fish there is in the world. Yeah. And so, like, I don't need a pre-order for somebody with a $500 billion asset bank. Like, that's cool. You got it. Like, but if Scott's doing, like, I'm doing my own book, putting in my own money, I've paid Greg or whoever he's doing with Tony Daniel, and we're doing this together, I'll be right there for you, Scott, but not for...
Yeah, that makes sense to me, too.
I mean, what's your thoughts on that, Jen? Do you find that kind of being like an issue as a comic book fan or anything of that nature?
Yeah, I didn't actually know about this at all until you guys started talking about it. So Yeah, that's like really disappointing. Like, first of all, the book wasn't even good, so I'd be like really disappointed that I picked it anyways. But
Yeah.
I always thought it was weird that Keanu Reeves even needed to do like a Kickstarter. Like, if he wants to make a book, people are gonna buy it just because it's his. So, like, was it just a promotional thing? But even if you just do it for advertising, like, then that's what you should promise. And so to get people to like give you all this money that you don't need to fund something that doesn't need to be funded, and then sell it, and they don't even get it before you sell it in stores anyways. I would be like super upset.
So I feel like it was about as disingenuous of a thing you could have done. And what I feel bad about is I'm sure that Keanu doesn't, he's not a comic book publisher. He doesn't know this stuff. He came in and met with some people, and he's like the most genuine guy. And then all of a sudden,
he just wanted the comic books to get made, right?
Yeah, he just wanted.
Yeah, he's like, I have this story idea. Yeah, it'd be cool. Boom came to me. Do you want to make a comic? I'd love to. Here's this idea. Oh, this is fun. We're going to crowdfund it. Oh, that's cool. I've never heard about that. Because what does he need to crowdfund? Oh, that's fun. And then all of a sudden, I mean, come on. It's just a really, unfortunately, like you're saying, Jen, and unfortunately, that's the same thing too with Scott. It's like, gosh, that wasn't nice.
Here's the thing the real thing that bugs me the most about it, okay? Because when Keanu Reeves and Berserker and all that stuff was on Kickstarter, I thought, well, this is cool. It's going to bring all these people to the platform. It's going to show people that cool stuff can get made on Kickstarter. And now, having done what they did, a lot of those people are like, man, I'm not backing anything on Kickstarter anymore. So it's like, you know what I mean? You're basically did the opposite thing that we were hoping you would do to the platform. You made it something that people feel like they're being robbed of their hard-earned money, because if I'm going to spend $50 on this book and then they're just going to release it some other way, then why should I buy anything else? So it's like...
That's the difference of, I would think, probably the artist actually crowdfunding versus the publisher crowdfunding.
Yeah,
because
the publisher crowdfunding like that, especially a Boom that already has distribution, it's embarrassing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Nicholas Shearer says everyone saw what Todd did with his Spawn figure, and are trying to jump on board. Difference is his figure is only available on Kickstarter and not being released in stores. Yeah, but you look at too. There's other creators doing great things. I mean, they're not doing that. They're making it so, like, look, if you want the book, we'll use him for example, Ethan Van Sciver with Cyberfrog and his stuff. That's not in comic shops. It's nowhere else. He's, hitting 7 figures, right, with his stuff. He's growing his brand. He's completely fan loyal, right? And whether you want to, talk about politics or whatever else he does, that's not the point. We're talking business here and structure and what he's doing. And that, to me, for his fans, is far better than, Keanu Reeves is doing a book, or, Scott Snyder's, finally getting the
doing a book that he's just available in store the next week.
But it's being distributed by Image through Diamond, and it's in your local comic shop. Yeah. So tell me again why I'm backing your book, Well,
and he didn't make it for free for Image.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, that is the testament. And I agree with you with Ethan. What did Ethan do? He drew the book himself. He paid people to color it himself, right? Like, he paid his own cash to do it.
Yeah.
There wasn't another company that came on board.
Yeah.
And
correct.
So I agree with you. The politics aside, whatever it is, like, that's like the salt of the earth version of it. Like, he's there packaging they're packaging the comics at his house in the garage. It's like, that's what at least for me.
And for me, they bring up Todd McFarlane, and it's like, for me, that actually was kind of cool, because it brought a bunch of people to the platform, and they gave them something that they weren't going to get anywhere else. And then people are like, "Oh, Kickstarter's cool. You can get cool stuff on there."
Yeah.
Well, then you have the Keanu Reeves thing, and I feel really bad that he was part of.
He got bamboozled. He didn't know.
He didn't know that he was gonna.
Well, the whole motto of it was horrible.
Backers,
because it's like, all right, back the campaign, right? Back the campaign.
I've never heard of such.
And then buy the books in your comic shop.
I backed it, and I'm not going to get my book for 2 years
Is it
That's-
actually 2
That
years?
doesn't make any sense.
2
2
years.
years?
2 years. Well, because the thing about it is they didn't think this through. There's 3 volumes, and they said, well, listen, the hard part is we can't ship you 3 volumes because the shipping cost. So you just have to wait till it's all done, and we'll ship it to you as
Dear
one.
God.
It's like, you didn't think this through. You're a distributor. You're a
yeah, you
publisher
didn't-
with vast experience.
You didn't think through the crowdfunding process.
Is it not?
at
Is it
all.
because
No,
it's
no.
probably because the books aren't. The problem is the books aren't done yet. That's
But the
probably
thing
what
about it is,
too.
but the thing that's
Yeah.
shameful about it is like the McFarlane thing is not, because McFarlane said, I'm going to make you something exclusive. And when that Kickstarter ended, I mean, he raised $3 million. When that Kickstarter ended, that's it.
Yeah.
He didn't like open any other doors. It's not, oh, you can silently now get it from Diamond at a different, you know what I mean? Like, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's well. Let's hope people still have faith in the crowdfunders out there that are doing it right. Like Caleb and Adam here, who both are crowdfunding great stuff. And Adam, your books
let
are
me say
still
something
available.
about.
on
Let
demand.
me say something about that, Nile? Because
No.
I actually have a series, Super Cats, that I'm going to be
I'm
running a
smiling.
Kickstarter for this summer for a new book. But it's also been picked up by Scout Comics. So the deal is I still have to bring them a finished product in order for that product to be distributed, right? That's just how creator-owned property stuff works.
Yeah.
So I'm doing an exclusive version of the book that you will not be able to get after the Kickstarter. And then Scout will release it probably next year sometime. In comic book shops and stuff, but you will never see this one and done print for the Kickstarter. So it's different if you're doing something that's you're gonna get immediately as a backer, and it's something unique. But if you're gonna say, okay, thanks for the money, you can have your book and you can have the stuff that you backed in a couple of years while we sell the rest of it, that's just. There's something very strange about that whole idea, and I don't know where it came from, but it's just a very weird.
Yeah, well, that's the
circumstance.
difference. That's the difference. There is look at Polito and stuff. He's gonna serve his fans and his loyal, dedicated fans first. He's gonna do the Kickstarters. You're gonna get everything. You're gonna do it, and then he's gonna wait till everyone's fulfilled, everyone's happy, and then it gets distributed through Diamond. Through Coffin Comics, and then you can get your floppy versions of that. And the Beam Pad, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed the show tonight. I'm glad we were entertaining and informative. We hope you join us every Friday for the Week in Pop. But yeah, I just want to thank you all. You guys were amazing tonight. Great conversation, great topics. Love the books you brought on, Adam. I'm going to dive into those. I'm going to check those out myself. It looks great.
I've actually heard
These
of
guys
Wailing
are-
Blade before. I know some of the guys that worked on the Kickstarter and stuff for that series.
Yeah.
One of them
Mulvey and
originally.
Sotomayor.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. It's good stuff for sure.
Yeah. And I'm really curious to see what we're going to see next week from Jen's box of goodies of different things
Whoa.
she has that she's ready to show off.
I've got a whole stack. I probably have like 50 packages that I haven't opened, so
That's
we've
crazy.
got plenty of
That's-
content.
You got
I
to
could not
find
restrain
something
myself.
that's
I would be
that's
opening them
insane.
all at once and just pile. I don't know how you do not open them, man.
Because I keep saying, I'm going to do an unboxing video. And then here it is
Yeah.
3-4 months later, and I still haven't done it. That's why I messaged him. I was like, can I just open a package?
There you go.
One package
go,
and
yeah.
edit that so I don't have
What's
to
in the
do the
box?
unboxing
We should
videos.
just do a thing. Is what's in the box?
And it's like my
What's
head
in
in
the
the box.
box? That's what we'll do. We'll make a graphic and it'll be like, "What's in the box?" with Jen, and it'll just be you popping out, and then you'll show us what's in the next package that you have
There you
Yeah,
go.
that sounds exciting.
That's
I'm
awesome.
while eating weird food.
I still haven't eaten any of that spicy or sour stuff I got at the dollar store. Oh, I do have this though.
What do you have?
Hold on.
What do you got? What is going on? It looks like she's not looking at what she's doing. Oh, you got the stuff.
The Plarp!
Yeah,
I got the Plarp at the dollar store. We're adults.
Oh, that's perfect. It's a Taco Bell night, everyone.
Yeah.
But hey, Jen, thank you so much again. It was so awesome hanging out with you tonight. Caleb, Adam, such a wonderful time. I hope everyone enjoyed themselves. If everyone out there is watching this live or recorded, if you enjoyed the show and you want to see more and everything else that the channel has to offer, make sure to look right under Caleb. You're going to see a subscribe button. Make sure to click that. And also click the bell so you get notifications when we go live and we upload awesome new content. And please do me a favor. Head on over to Indiegogo. Type in Failed Superhero Club. Okay, and see the books that Adam has going on, and also head on over to Kickstarter and check out the books that Caleb has produced, and also head over to his website, the Village Comics, and you can get some of the books that he has on hand. And make sure to follow Miss Jennifer Van Damsel on Twitter, Instagram. Sign up for her free OnlyFans. She sometimes does hangouts after the show. I do believe I saw that you're working tonight on a new set.
I gotta do a shoot in my cool outfit. So if you want to see my outfit. Nice. You can go on there. Yeah. Awesome. So everyone, have a great night. It was a pleasure hanging out with you all, and we hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Be safe, and we will see you all next week on an all-new crowdfunding comics. Tuesday, actually, really quick. Tuesday, myself, Adam, right under me, Billy Tucci are actually going to hang out. We are going to be talking with Ethan Van Sciver. We're going to be talking about the evolution of All Caps Comics. How he got to where he got, how, the controversy, the saga, the triumphs, everything that has gone through to go from, talking about art secrets in Star Wars to multi-million-dollar crowdfunding campaigns, All Caps Comics, new warehouse, the distribution, vans, this and that. So it'll be an interesting ride, especially for those that, want to get there someday. So everyone have a great weekend. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you all on the next one. Bye, Adam. Bye, Jan. Bye, Caleb. Bye.
Hey everyone. Thank you for joining us on POPXP. If you haven't already, make sure to click that subscribe button and also click the bell for notifications when we go live and we upload some awesome new content. Also, don't forget to head on over to Twitter and follow us at the POPXP and over on Instagram at the POPXP. Thanks again, everyone, and we'll see you soon.